The stars were cold and silent when Tai-Ho's world exploded. One moment he was checking his cargo manifest, counting boxes of medical supplies meant for a colony 3 systems away. The next moment, alarms screamed through his small ship. Red lights flashed. The hull shook like paper in a storm. Tai-Ho threw himself toward the cockpit. Through the viewport, he saw them. 3 Keldon warships, their dark hulls shaped like angry teeth. They had come out of nowhere, dropping from faster-than-light travel right on top of him. He had no weapons. His ship was a cargo vessel, old and slow. He was a simple engineer who took transport jobs to pay his bills. He was not a soldier. He was not important, but the Keldon did not care. The first shot tore through his engine room. The second ripped open the cargo bay. Tai-Ho felt the ship die around him. Air rushed out into the void. He grabbed an emergency suit and pulled it on with shaking hands. His fingers were clumsy. His heart was too fast. The third shot hit the cockpit. Tai-Ho felt pain.
Ow.
Then nothing. He floated in the wreckage of his ship, surrounded by broken metal and scattered cargo. His suit kept him alive, but barely. The oxygen was running out. His blood floated in small red drops around his helmet. He was dying, and he knew it. The Keldon ships did not stop. They had destroyed him for sport, for practice, for no reason at all. To them, he was nothing. A bug on their windshield. They flew away without a second look. Tai-Ho closed his eyes. He thought of Earth. He thought of his mother, who always worried when he took long trips. He thought of the small apartment in Busan, where he grew up, where the sound of the ocean came through his window at night. He was going to die alone, in the dark, very far from home. But the universe had other plans. Rovi was late. She was always late. Her ship was old, her engines were tired, and she had stopped to help a stranded trader 2 days ago, which had cost her time she did not have. She was a Lunari, a member of a species that most of the galaxy forgot existed. The Lunari were small, barely reaching the chest of most other species. They had soft gray fur, large dark eyes, and delicate wings like moths. They were not strong. They were not fast. They had no military, no weapons, no power. The Lunari survived by being invisible. They traded in small goods, kept their heads down, and never made enemies. They never made friends either. Friends were dangerous. Friends meant you might have to fight for someone. The Lunari could not fight. Rovi was on her way to Station Velta to sell fabric and spices. Simple work. Safe work. She was thinking about the hot meal she would buy when she arrived. Maybe some of those fried dumplings the station was famous for. Then her scanner beeped. She almost ignored it. Debris fields were common in this sector. Ships broke down, pirates attacked, and wreckage drifted forever in the empty black. It was not her problem, but something made her look closer. Life signs. Faint, but real. Someone was alive in that wreckage. Rovi's hands trembled over her controls. She should keep flying. She should pretend she never saw anything. The debris had Keldon weapon marks on it. If she interfered, if she took whoever was in there, the Keldon might find out. The Keldon might come for her. She was nobody. She could not protect anyone. She could barely protect herself. Her ship flew closer anyway. Rovi found him floating among the broken pieces of his ship. A human. She had never seen one in person before. She had heard stories, of course. Everyone had heard stories about humans. They were violent, people said. Unpredictable. They fought wars for strange reasons. They were loyal to a fault, and that loyalty made them dangerous. But the human floating in front of her did not look dangerous. He looked broken. His suit was torn. His face behind the helmet was pale and still. Blood had dried on his skin. He was dying. Rovi made her choice. She opened her cargo bay and pulled him inside with a mechanical arm. She sealed the door and filled the bay with air. Then she ran to him, her small hands working fast to remove his damaged helmet. He was not breathing. Rovi pressed her hands against his chest, the way she had seen in emergency videos. She pushed and pushed and pushed. She was not strong, but she was stubborn. She would not let him die. She had pulled him from the void, and that made him her responsibility. The human gasped. His eyes flew open. They were dark brown, wide with fear and confusion. Rovi jumped back, suddenly afraid. What had she done? What if he attacked her? What if humans really were as dangerous as everyone said? But the human just looked at her. He looked at her small gray face, her trembling wings, her huge worried eyes, and he smiled. It was a weak smile, full of pain, but it was real. "Thank you," he whispered. His voice was rough, barely there. "Thank you." Rovi felt something warm spread through her chest. She had never been thanked by anyone outside her own species. She had never mattered enough to thank. "You are hurt," she said. Her voice shook. "I have medicine." "It's not much." "But some." She helped him to her small medical corner. She cleaned his wounds with shaking hands. She gave him the only painkiller she had, the one she kept for emergencies. She wrapped bandages around his cuts and checked for broken bones. The human watched her the whole time. He did not grab her. He did not yell. He just watched, and when she was done, he spoke again. "My name is Taiho," he said. "What is yours?" No one asked Lunari their names. They were too small to matter. "Drovi," she said quietly. "My name is Rovi." Taiho nodded. His eyes were heavy, fighting to stay open. "Rovi," he repeated. "I will remember. I will not forget what you did." Then he slept. Rovi sat beside him for a long time, watching his chest rise and fall. She had saved a human. She had saved someone the Keldon wanted dead. She was terrified. She was also, for the first time in her life, proud, but she knew the truth. Word would spread. Someone always talked. The Keldon would find out what she had done, and when they did, they would come for her. Rovi looked at the sleeping human. She looked at her small ship, her tiny cargo of fabric and spices, her whole meaningless life. She had made her choice. She would not take it back. Whatever came next, she would face it. She was still scared, but somehow sitting beside this strange creature from a strange world, she felt less alone than she had in years. The stars outside were still cold, but inside her little ship something warm had begun to grow. Station Velta floated in the darkness between 3 solar systems. It was a place for traders, travelers, and those who wanted to disappear. 100 different species walked its metal halls. They bought, they sold, they minded their own business. The station had one rule that everyone followed. Stay neutral. Do not make trouble. Do not bring your wars here. For 200 years, that rule had kept Velta safe. But rules only work when everyone fears the same things. Rovi docked her small ship in the lower levels. The poorest traders kept their vessels. Taiho was awake now, weak, but walking. She helped him through the crowded corridors, keeping her head down, hoping no one would notice them. But people noticed. A Lunari walking beside a human was a strange sight. Humans rarely came to this sector, and when they did, they usually traveled in groups. They did not limp through back hallways with small moth-like aliens holding their arms. Whispers followed them like shadows. Rovi took Taiho to the Lunari Quarter, a small section of the station where her people lived and worked. It was not much. A few shops, a few homes, a small temple where elders gave blessings. The Lunari here were like Lunari everywhere. Quiet, invisible, afraid. Elder Pella met them at the entrance. She was old, her fur more white than gray, her wings thin and fragile. But her eyes were sharp, and they went wide when she saw the human. "What have you done?" she asked Rovi. Her voice was not angry. It was afraid. Rovi stood straight, even though her legs wanted to shake. "I saved him. He was dying. He was human. He was dying," Rovi repeated. "I could not leave him." Elder Pella looked at Taiho for a long moment. The human met her gaze. He did not look away, but he did not challenge her either. He simply waited, respecting that this was her place and her decision. Finally, the elder sighed. "Bring him inside." Quickly, he gave Taiho a small room in the back of the temple. It was meant for storage, but they cleared out the boxes and gave him blankets. Rovi brought him food from her own supplies. It was not much, but Taiho ate like it was the best meal of his life. You did not have to do this, he told her. Any of this. Rovi sat on a box near the door. I know. Then why? She thought about the question. She had asked herself the same thing many times since she pulled him from the wreckage. Because no one else would, she finally said. Because you were alone. Because I know what it feels like to be small and forgotten. Taiho was quiet for a moment. Then he nodded slowly. My people have a saying. A debt of life is never forgotten. Rovi did not know what to say to that. She was saved from answering by a sound that made her blood run cold. Alarms. Station-wide alarms. Elder Pella burst into the room, her old wings fluttering with panic. A Keldon transmission, she gasped. On all channels. They know he is here. Taiho stood up, ignoring the pain in his body. Show me. They gathered in the temple's main room, where a cracked screen showed the transmission. The face on the screen was not human. It was scaled green-gray, with eyes like a snake and teeth like broken glass. Warlord Grath of the Keldon Empire, he spoke in a voice that sounded like rocks grinding together. This message is for Station Velta and the worthless creatures who live there. One of your guests has taken something that belongs to me. A human. My ships destroyed his vessel, and he should be dead. But someone interfered. Someone stole my kill. Graph's eyes seemed to look directly through the screen, directly at Rovi. You will surrender the human to me. You will also surrender the one who saved him. They will both face justice for this insult to the Keldon Empire. He paused, letting his words sink in. You have 12 hours. If you do not obey, I will turn your station into dust. Every soul on Velta will die. This is not a threat. This is a promise. The transmission ended. The room was silent. Rovi could hear her own heartbeat fast and loud in her ears. Around her, the Lunari were frozen with fear. Some were crying softly. Others held their children close. They all looked at her, and in their eyes she saw the same thought. This is your fault. Taiho stepped forward. His face was pale, but his voice was steady. I will turn myself in, he said. This is not your fight. I will not let your people die for me. No. The word came from Rovi before she could stop it. Everyone stared at her. No, she said again, stronger this time. I did not save you so you could die. I did not pull you from the darkness just to give you back to them, Rovi Elder Pella said gently. He is right. The Keldon will destroy us all. We cannot fight them. We have never been able to fight anyone, and maybe it is time we started. The words hung in the air. Rovi was shocked that she had said them. She was the smallest, the weakest, the most afraid. But something inside her had changed when she saved. Taiho. Something had woken up. Taiho looked at her with an expression she did not understand. It was soft, almost sad, but there was something else there, too. Something like hope. There might be another way, he said quietly. He reached into his torn uniform and pulled out a small device. It was cracked and burned, but a tiny light still blinked on its surface. A distress beacon, he explained. All humans carry one. I activated it when my ship was attacked. It sends a signal to Earth. It tells them that one of their people needs help. Elder Pella shook her head. Earth is far from here. Too far. Even if they received your signal, they could never arrive in time. Taiho smiled. It was a strange smile, tired but knowing. You do not know humans very well, he said. When one of us calls for help, we answer. Always. No matter how far. No matter how long. Rovi looked at the blinking light. Such a small thing. Such a fragile hope. Will they really come? She asked. Taiho met her eyes. I do not know. But if they do, the Keldon will learn something important.
What?
His smile grew, and for the first time Rovi saw something dangerous in this gentle human. Something fierce hiding beneath the soft surface. They will learn why the galaxy should never touch someone a human cares about. The beacon blinked on, sending its tiny signal into the endless dark. Somewhere out there, past 1,000 stars. Earth was listening. Rovi closed her eyes and did something she had not done in years. She prayed. The bridge of the battleship Hala was quiet. Officers sat at their stations, checking systems and monitoring sensors. Everything was calm. Everything was normal. Admiral Yuna stood at the main viewport watching the stars drift past. She was a small woman, barely taller than most of her crew, but no one made the mistake of thinking she was weak. Her eyes were dark and sharp. Her gray hair was cut short. She had commanded warships for 30 years, and in that time, she had never lost a battle. She was thinking about her granddaughter back on Earth. The girl was learning to play piano. Yuna had promised to be there for her first concert. She was counting the days until she could go home. The communication officer's voice cut through her thoughts. "Admiral, we have received a distress beacon." Yuna turned. Location: Sector 7-4. Near Station Velta. The officer paused, checking his data. Single human civilian. His ship was destroyed by Keldon forces 3 days ago. 3 days. Yuna walked to the tactical display. A map of the sector appeared, showing the station and the beacon's location. "He has been alone for 3 days." "Yes, Admiral." "There is more." The officer's face was troubled. "We intercepted a Keldon transmission. Warlord Grath has issued an ultimatum to Station Velta. He demands the human be surrendered, along with whoever saved him. If they refuse, he will destroy the station." Someone saved him. A Lunari merchant, according to station reports. She pulled him from the wreckage. Yuna was silent for a long moment. The bridge crew watched her, waiting. They knew that look on her face. They had seen it before, right before things got very serious. "How many people live on Station Velta?" she asked. "Approximately 40,000, Admiral, traders, refugees, families, and the Lunari. A few hundred. They have a small community there." Yuna nodded slowly. She looked at the map, at the tiny blinking dot that represented one human life. One engineer. One nobody who took cargo jobs to pay his bills. "Get me high command," she said. The connection took only minutes. Fleet Admiral Dong Yun appeared on the screen, his face serious. He was the highest military authority on Earth, a man who had seen wars that shook the galaxy. "Admiral Yuna," he said. "I assume this is about the Velta situation." "It is, sir. I am requesting permission to mobilize the 7th Fleet." There was a pause. Behind Dong Yun, Yuna could see other officers exchanging glances. "The entire fleet?" Dong Yun asked. "For one civilian?" "Yes, sir. The Keldon outnumber you in that sector. We have reports that Warlord Grath commands at least 60 warships. You have 42. I am aware, sir." Dong Yun leaned forward. His eyes searched her face through the screen. "Yuna, you know what this could mean. If we send a fleet and engage the Keldon, it could start a war. A real war, not just border skirmishes." Yuna did not look away. "With respect, Admiral, the war has already started. The Keldon destroyed a human ship without warning. They are threatening to murder 40,000 innocents unless we abandon our own citizen. If we do nothing, every species in the galaxy will see that human lives can be taken without cost." She paused, letting her words settle. "But if we respond, they will see something else. They will see that every human matters, that we do not leave our people behind, that saving one of us makes you our friend, and we protect our friends." The bridge was completely silent. Every officer watched the screen, barely breathing. Dong Yun was quiet for a long time. Then, slowly, he smiled. It was a hard smile, full of old anger and older pride. "You always did have a way with words, Yuna." He straightened in his chair. "Permission granted. Take your fleet. Bring our citizen home. And make sure that Keldon understand who they are dealing with." Yuna bowed her head briefly. "Thank you, sir. One more thing." Dong Yun's voice softened just a little. "The Lunari who saved him. Make sure she knows that Earth remembers its debts." "I will, sir." The connection closed. Yuna turned to face her crew. They were already moving, preparing for what was coming. But they paused when she raised her hand. "Listen to me," she said. Her voice was not loud, but it carried to every corner of the bridge. We are about to fly into enemy territory. We are outnumbered. The Keldon are strong, and they are cruel, and they do not believe we will come. She walked slowly among them, meeting each officer's eyes. But we are human. We crossed the darkness between stars because we were curious. We built ships that touched the speed of light because we refused to accept limits. We have survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and the death of our old world. And we did it because we never, ever leave each other behind. She stopped at the main viewport, looking out at the stars. One of us needs help. He is far from home, wounded and afraid. A stranger saved his life when no one else would. And now both of them are going to die unless we do something. Yuna turned back to her crew. Her eyes were bright, fierce, alive. I say we do something. I say we show the galaxy what happens when you threaten someone a human owes a debt to. I say we make Warlord Grath regret the day he ever heard the name Earth. The crew exploded into motion. Officers shouted orders. Engines roared to life. Across the fleet, 42 warships prepared for battle. At Station Velta, 8 hours remained on the Keldon deadline. Rovi sat with Taiho in the small temple room, watching the beacon's light blink slower and slower as its power faded. They are not coming, Elder Pella said softly. She had accepted death. Many of the Lunari had. It was easier than hoping. Taiho said nothing. He just watched the beacon. Then, without warning, every sensor on the station screamed. Something was coming. Many somethings. Dropping out of faster-than-light travel in perfect formation, appearing like ghosts from the darkness. The station's main screen flickered to life, showing the space outside. Rovi gasped. Elder Pella fell to her knees. Around them, Lunari cried out in shock and disbelief. Ships. Human ships. Dozens of them, spreading across the void like a wall of steel and fire. Battleships, cruisers, destroyers. An entire fleet, bristling with weapons, blocking the path between the station and the Keldon territory. A transmission came through, broadcast on all frequencies. A woman's voice, calm and cold and absolutely certain. This is Admiral Yuna of the Terran Republic's 7th Fleet. One of our citizens is on that station. One of your people saved his life. Consider this our thank you card. Any Keldon vessel that moves against this station will not return home. Rovi looked at Taiho. Tears were running down his face. He was smiling. They came, he whispered. They actually came. Outside, the stars were no longer empty. Earth had arrived, and it had brought war with it. Warlord Grath could not believe what he was seeing. He stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Tooth of Vengeance, staring at the tactical display. 42 human warships, 42 for one human. One worthless cargo hauler, who should have died in the void like the insect he was. The Keldon officers around him shifted nervously. They had expected an easy victory. Station Velta had no weapons. The Lunari had no military. The humans were supposed to be far away, too slow and too weak to respond, but here they were. Grath's scales darkened with rage. He had ruled the sector for 20 years. He had crushed rebellions, destroyed fleets, burned worlds. No one had ever dared to challenge him like this. He opened a channel to the human flagship. Admiral Eunice's face appeared on his screen. She was small, her features soft compared to the hard angles of Keldon faces. She looked like prey, but her eyes told a different story. Admiral Grath said, forcing his voice to stay calm. You have made a mistake coming here, have I? Yuna's voice was quiet, almost pleasant. I do not think so. You are outnumbered. I have 60 warships. You have 42. The math is simple, even for humans. Math is simple, Yuna agreed. But war is not. Grath leaned forward, letting his teeth show. You would start a war over one human and one worthless Lunari. Over a cargo pilot and a moth? You misunderstand. Yuna did not blink, did not look away. The war started the moment you threatened someone who helped our people. We are just here to finish it. You are insane. But I am also here. and I am not leaving until my citizen is safe. Grath ended the transmission. He turned to his officers, his claws scraping against the metal deck. Call for reinforcements, he ordered, and prepare the fleet. These humans want a war. We will give them one. On Station Velta, the Lunari watched the sky with terrified eyes. More Keldan ships were arriving every hour. The human fleet held its position, unmoving, silent. Two armies facing each other across the void. In the small temple room, Rovi could not stop shaking. Taiho sat beside her, his hand on her shoulder. It was warm and steady, and somehow it helped. What happens now? She asked. We wait, Taiho said. And we trust. Trust what? He looked at her, and his eyes were kind. Trust that my people know what they are doing. Trust that they came here for a reason. The door opened. A human soldier walked in, tall and broad, wearing combat armor that made him look like a machine. But his face was young, and his smile was genuine. I am Captain Minho, he said. Admiral Yuna sent me to bring you both to safety. Rovi stood up quickly. You came for us? Of course. Minho looked at her like the question confused him. You saved one of ours. That makes you family. Family. The word hit Rovi like a physical blow. She had family back on her homeworld, but they had not spoken in years. They had been ashamed of her small ambitions and her foolish dreams. No one had called her family in a very long time. Come, Minho said. We need to move. Things are about to get complicated. They followed him through the station corridors. More human soldiers joined them, forming a protective ring around Taiho and Rovi. The Lunari they passed stared with wide eyes. Pressing against the walls to let them through, Elder Pella met them at the entrance to the Lunari quarter. Her old face was wet with tears. Captain, she said, her voice trembling, I must thank you. What your people are doing, we never expected. Minho stopped. He looked at the elder, then at the frightened Lunari huddled behind her. Children clinging to their parents, elderly couples holding hands, a whole community that had spent 10,000 years being ignored, being invisible, being nothing. Let me tell you something, Minho said. His voice was gentle but firm. Where I come from, we have a belief. Anyone who protects a human becomes family, and we protect our family. He reached out and took Elder Pella's small hand in his armored glove. You are not alone anymore. Whatever happens today, Earth will remember what your people did. We will remember Rovi, and we will make sure the galaxy remembers too. Elder Pella broke down. She wept like a child, her thin body shaking. Around her, other Lunari began to cry as well. Not from fear this time, from something else. Something they had never felt before. Hope. On the bridge of the Hala, Admiral Yuna watched the Keldan fleet grow. 60 ships had become 70, then 80. Warlord Grath was calling in every vessel he could reach. Her officers were nervous. They hid it well, but she could see it in their movements, hear it in their voices. They were outnumbered nearly 2 to 1 now. The math was getting worse. Admiral, her tactical officer said carefully. Should we request reinforcements? Yuna shook her head. No, but ma'am, no reinforcements. I want the Keldan to think they can win. I want Grath to believe his numbers will protect him. Why? Yuna smiled. It was not a kind smile, because when we destroy him anyway, the message will be clearer. It does not matter how many ships you bring. It does not matter how strong you think you are. If you threaten our people, we will find you. We will break you. And we will make an example of you that the galaxy will never forget. The bridge was silent. Then, slowly, her officers began to nod. Fear left their faces, replaced by something harder. Something sharper. They were human. They had faced worse odds before, and they had won. Minho's voice came through the communication system. Admiral, we have them. The citizen and the Lunari who saved him. They are safe aboard the transport. Good. Yuna turned back to the viewport. Outside, the Keldan ships were forming into attack position. Get them back to the fleet. The Keldan are about to make a very big mistake. On his flagship, Warlord Grath gave the order. All ships, he said, his voice dripping with confidence. Open fire. The first shots streaked across the void. Bright and deadly, they raced toward the human fleet. Una did not flinch. All ships, she said calmly, return fire. Show them what humans are made of. The battle for Station Velta had begun. The void exploded with light. Keldon weapons fired in waves, filling the darkness with burning death. 80 ships unleashed everything they had, confident that numbers would win this battle. They had always won with numbers before. They had crushed every enemy who stood against them, but they had never fought. Humans, Admiral Una's fleet, did not scatter. They did not run. Instead, they moved as one, flowing around the Keldon attacks like water around stones. Human ships were faster than the Keldon expected, more agile. Their shields flickered under the assault, but held, and then they fired back. Human weapons were different from Keldon weapons. Keldon ships used brute force, raw power meant to overwhelm. Human weapons were precise, surgical. Each shot found its target with deadly accuracy. The first Keldon ship exploded for seconds into the battle. Then another. Then 5 more. Warlord Grath stared at his tactical display in disbelief. His ships were dying. Not slowly, not in a grinding war of attrition, but fast. Terrifyingly fast. How? He demanded. They are outnumbered. His tactical officer's voice shook. Their coordination, Warlord. Their ships are working together. Every move, every shot, perfectly timed. It is like they share one mind. Grath watched another cluster of his vessels vanish in fire. The humans were cutting through his fleet like a blade through flesh. On the bridge of the Hala, Admiral Una stood at the center of controlled chaos. Officers shouted updates. Screens flashed with tactical data. The ship shook as enemy fire struck their shields, but Una was calm. She had trained for this her whole life. She had studied every battle in human history, every victory and every defeat. She knew what worked and what did not. And she knew something the Keldon did not understand. Humans fought for each other. Every ship in her fleet was crewed by people who knew what they were fighting for. Not territory, not power, not glory. They were fighting for Tai-Ho, a man most of them had never met. They were fighting for Rovi, a small alien who had shown courage when no one else would. They were fighting because that was what humans did. Focus fire on their command ships, Una ordered. Take out their coordination. Make them fight alone, her fleet responded instantly. A dozen human ships converged on the largest Keldon vessels, overwhelming them with concentrated fire. One by one, the command ships went dark. Without coordination, the Keldon fleet fell into confusion. Ships fired wildly, sometimes hitting each other. Formations broke apart. Captains panicked, each one trying to save their own vessel. 14 minutes. That was all it took. In 14 minutes, 31 Keldon warships were destroyed. Another 20 were crippled, drifting dead in the void. The rest were fleeing, scattering in every direction. Warlord Grath's flagship, the Tooth of Vengeance, was surrounded. Its engines were damaged. Its weapons were offline. It was helpless. Una opened a channel. Warlord Grath, she said. Her voice was still calm, almost pleasant. Your fleet is broken. Your ships are running. You have lost. Grath's face appeared on her screen. His scales had gone pale. His eyes were wide with something he had never felt before. Fear. What are you? He whispered. We are human. Una leaned forward. And I want you to remember this day. I want you to tell everyone you meet what happened here. Tell them that you brought 80 ships to kill 1 man and 1 Lunari. Tell them that we brought 42 ships to save them. Tell them how that ended. She paused, letting her words sink in. And tell them this. If anyone ever touches someone who helped a human, we will come for them, no matter where they hide. No matter how many ships they have, we will find them and we will destroy them. Do you understand? Grath nodded slowly. He looked broken, defeated. Goyuna said, Run home, and spread the word. The Keldon flagship limped away, disappearing into the darkness. Behind it, the wreckage of Graf's ambition floated in the void. Station Velta was safe. On the medical deck of the Hala, Rovi sat beside Tai-Ho as human doctors treated his wounds. He was going to be fine, they told her. He would heal completely. She should have been relieved. She was relieved. But she was also confused. Why? She asked him. It was the same question she had asked before, but now it meant something different. Why did they come? I am nobody. We are nobody. The Lunar have never mattered to anyone. Tai-Ho reached out and took her small hand. His grip was gentle, careful not to hurt her delicate fingers. You saved my life, he said. When you had every reason to fly away, you stopped. You pulled me from the darkness. You used your own medicine, your own food, your own safety to help a stranger. He squeezed her hand softly. On Earth, that makes you a hero, and we do not abandon our heroes. Rovi felt tears running down her face. She had not cried in years. She had learned as a child that crying did not help, that no one cared about Lunari tears. But Tai-Ho cared. The humans cared. What happens now? She asked. Now you have a choice. Tai-Ho smiled at her. You can go back to your old life. We will make sure you are safe wherever you want to go. Or you can come to Earth. See where I come from? Meet my family. His smile grew wider. My mother always wanted me to bring someone home. She will love you, Rovi laughed. It was a strange sound, unfamiliar. She could not remember the last time she had laughed. I would like that, she said quietly. I would like that very much. Across the galaxy, the story spread. A Lunari merchant, small and afraid, had saved a human from death. And in return, humanity had sent a fleet. They had fought a war. They had one. The message was clear. Help a human, and they will remember. Protect them, and they will protect you. Show them kindness, and they will move the stars to repay it. Species that had feared humans began to see them differently. They were still dangerous, still unpredictable. But there was something else there too. Loyalty, gratitude, a fierce, burning need to protect those who protected them. In quiet corners of the galaxy, beings started to wonder. What would it be like to have humans as friends? What would it be like to matter to someone that powerful? On Station Velta, Elder Pella gathered the Lunari together. For the first time in 10,000 years, they stood straight. They looked up instead of down. They were no longer invisible. Earth had seen them. Earth had valued them. Earth had fought for them, and that changed everything. Far away, on a small ship heading toward a blue planet called home, Rovi watched the stars pass by. Tai-Ho was sleeping in the seat beside her, finally at peace. She was still scared. She was still small. But she was not alone anymore. She had saved a human. And a human had saved her right back. In the end, that was all that mattered.